This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Another edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi with our founder, Jack Roser. Good morning, Jack. How are you on this Sunday?
Just as fine as can be.
Fantastic. And today our special guest is Kevin O'Connell. And Kevin is with the Northwest Political Coalition. And I love that word, coalition, Kevin.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today. Kevin, what is the Northwest Political Coalition?
Well, it was a coalition. It was started some years ago, based out of Wheeling Township. In fact, that small relative of mine, maybe Ruth O'Connell, you heard about, had started it, and it was defunct for a while. She had taken over the local Republican organization and was running that. And in Palatine Township, we've had a degree of some breakdown in politics there, shall I say, with the Republican Party and so forth. And a lot of people were interested in being involved, so I had reactivated.
You have a wonderful history up there, though. You were the first township to go for Phil Crane way back when.
Oh, yeah.
And then you had Bernie Peterson in the State House, a stalwart, really decent, great legislator. We once gave him the Taxpayers Award. You've got a great history in Palatine.
Oh, Bernie Peterson was a great guy. He helped mentor me through politics up there, and certainly made introductions for me. And it was a wonderful man, and certainly I do miss him.
Oh, yes.
Greatly. I said to a lot of people, when he had passed away, that had done a lot of damage, I think, to the Republican Party up there.
Yeah.
A lot of disunity started, after his passing. But, they've been a series of fights. So you have all these, former captains.
It's not just that one area. A lot of that has happened in the state of Illinois in the Republican Party. And as a result, we're facing a real challenge right now as to bring the Republican Party back to power in the House and Senate within the state. It's got to be done. The Democrats have debauched this wonderful state. They've debauched Chicago, the most wonderful force in production and business that this country had ever seen. I'm an old guy. In my lifetime, they said, if you can't get a job in Chicago, you can't get a job anywhere. So the Democrats have wrecked the state financially.
Well, I'm not going to argue that point. What had happened, and again, just getting back to why we started, there was just not a lot of cooperation, and some people wanted to be involved. So that's what I had reactivated the PAC and went out. And it's an independent PAC that we try to draw in a lot of different people who really want to see good government. We say we want accountable government and accessible government. We will go out and interview candidates and see if we're going to support them. Generally, we try to be very fair about the interviews that we do hold. Just because you have an R by your name doesn't mean you're going to be the candidate, or that we're even going to wind up going out and supporting that candidate. We just might not just be involved in that particular race. What we've seen lately is a breakdown. We're not immune to it. You're right. In the township where we live, we're not immune to any of the things that have happened to the Republican Party lately. In fact, I did want to bring up a point, just showing you that the Republican Party is having a tough time. I've got friends that are in leadership in the state house and certainly in the state senate, and you could see that the leadership and maybe the rank and file aren't always on the same page. It's very difficult to operate when you don't have that.
You and I talked about some of this just a little bit earlier, and you have a remarkable acquaintance with a lot of the good people and some of the rascals, and you got a great background.
Well, thanks. When I was younger and had more time, you can network more and get to know these people.
Careful.
Well, no, you get to know it. You get to know them. I try to stay away from the troublemakers, but there's still a good group of people in there. But you can see that the Republican Party as a whole There is a lot of disunity. I mean, we're going to see how it's going to come together really for the presidential election. It is interesting, and Fox News did this, and I want to point this out because I know people, when you mentioned, Gallup polls and Wall Street Journal, you'll have conservatives kind of roll their eyes, but Fox News did report on this, that 52% of Republicans polled in this poll, and they did break it down to try to analyze it. And again, coming from Fox News, wanted to see a third party. They didn't know if there was a message. It's not that they were having a problem with maybe what the Republican Party was saying, but how it was acting.
Okay.
And that's where the disconnect really is coming from.
I don't hear much of that myself, and of course I've been heavily involved for a long time. A lot of that fear was seen in that the Tea Party people. I'm the oldest Tea Party person here. I'm 87 years old, and I'm just as nasty as this all along the way. So I qualify as very much a kind of an American original, which is what you have in the Tea Party. It's people that believe that our founders really gave us something great here in America, and we should keep the power of the people into it. That a lot of bad things have happened along the way in that, but to start a third party is to bring on defeat. And I don't find many Tea Party people today saying that.
I think at the national level, I think maybe in different situations, possibly. I don't know, but the only thing I know.
A lot of dissatisfaction with what the party's done to itself.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not advocating
for
third party. What I'm telling you is it was interesting when that poll came out that you had 52% of those Republicans who were in that poll wanted to see that or were interested in a third party. That shows you there's dissatisfaction. You can't ignore that when they're saying those kind of things. So what's the problem?
It's not a solution,
Why are
but
they
it's a
saying
warning.
Yeah, you can treat it as a warning. If you hear that news, what are you going to do about it? Well, doing the same old thing isn't going to work, obviously. And again, what we're seeing as our role is to try to go out and create good government. I can't sit there like anybody at this table can't vouch for the Republican Party as a whole. You just don't know what leader or what direction somebody's going to want to take it in. But there's generally going to have to be some kind of consensus coming up in 2012.
Well, one consensus we got is that Bill Brady threw away his election with a lot of help of the upper leadership, so-called, of the Republican Party, and they blew the race that couldn't be lost. And there's a huge lesson in why Bill Brady isn't governor right now. And it's because the people around him thought they had a sure thing and they were going to coast to the win, and they did prevent defense, if you listen to football, and they never let him get an edge. I put a lot of money in him and other candidates, but I had plenty of access to Bill Brady, and there's not a lot wrong with him. He's a nice, pleasant guy, and he could have been a fit governor. But you can't win a race today if you're going to make your candidate be vanilla and never have a sharp edge. And that's what they forced on him, was to never say anything that would create a ruckus or that the Democrats could poke a hole in. Never till after he's elected. So that kind of an attitude blew this election, pure and simple. It's the people that ran it at the top of the Republican Party here that blew the election for Bill Brady. And we're all suffering for it.
Yeah,
because this thing is all about big issues like the terrible amount of debt you've got associated with pensions for the K-12 system, forced on us by the stinking Illinois Education Association. And if you can't get to that as a reason that's depressing the whole state, you haven't been a study of what's happened here. We have a huge financial debacle, the worst in the whole nation, that the Democrats gave us.
Well, you put a lot out there. The Bill Brady campaign was not run very well. A good friend of mine, Jason Plummer, was on that ticket.
Great guy.
Thank you. I think so too. And he, here you had with the primaries, the way the old law was. We all know what the new one is. That the governor candidate now has to pick their running mate, and they're together now. Jason thought there would probably be somebody else who he'd be running with for governor at the time. I think he donated a few dollars to that gentleman as well. But he ran
a great race himself. Was given little chance, but he was the top guy for that position on his own merits.
And I think he he had to suffer along with the campaign. He didn't like the way it was run, and I got to hear some of that news as well. So, and at the end of the day, it was
it's worth
the Republicans'
dwelling
to
on
lose.
what you're talking about, because I understand you're a fellow that's got a lot of knowledge about many things that went on, and I don't generally like to dwell on defeats because I'm all about optimism.
Well, no,
and,
no.
and that's the way
You
I
just gotta
see the
learn from your
future.
defeats.
You must learn.
You've got to learn from them. You've got to know what went wrong so you don't repeat it.
Yep.
So in this case, right now, what we're doing is we're taking a look at the races coming up, how we're going to be involved, and get people involved.
So the Northwest Political Coalition is a PAC, and going to engage citizens to become part of a better government and to do better for 2012 and beyond. After the break, we're going to be back with Kevin O'Connell from the Northwest Political Coalition and our founder, Jack Rosen.